Welcome to Creole and Cajun Living with Bomb Cherry. In this video, I will be showing you how to make a simple skirt with no pattern, regardless of whether it's for an infant or a toddler, a teenager or a woman, whether she is slender or bigger, tall or short. This is very simple whether you decide to hand sew it or machine stitch it. There's only a few things needed, and we're getting to that now. Okay, so I have my marking tools, I have my pins and or clips, and I have my cutting tools. Now I will be using a sewing machine, but it's not necessary. And you will need some fabric of your choosing and some elastic. Okay, so now we're going to prepare the fabric. We're going to measure the person's waistline, and we're going to times that number by 2. So I used the number 22 times 2, and I came with 44 inches. You then measure from the waist down to as long as you want the skirt to be, and add 3 inches to it. You also have the option of using a chart such as this one that corresponds with the child's size. Okay, so after the measurements, let's prepare the fabric and the elastic. I cut the fabric at 22 inches doubled over, which equals 44 inches. Here I decided to put the length of the dress at 15 inches, and I cut the elastic band at 21 inches. Okay, so it's time to sew everything together. Okay, so I'm going to start off by sewing what I call the back seam of my skirt. I'm putting the right sides facing one another, and I'm going to straight stitch from top to bottom. Now at this point, what I'm going to do is use my picking shears to cut down some of the seam allowance. Okay, so now I'm going to press open the seam allowance. It makes everything look a little more professional. Okay, so I have a directional pattern on my fabric, which means that there is an obvious top and bottom. If you do not have this to your fabric, then you can choose which would be the top and which will be the bottom of your skirt. Once you identify the top, we are now going to create our casing for our elastic. Okay, so I am going to fold over and iron a 1/4 inch of fabric down and around my entire skirt. Okay, so now I'm going to fold over an additional 1.5 inches for my casing, just enough for my elastic to go through. Okay, so now I'm going to sew my waistband. Now I'm not going to use any pins because I ironed everything down, but I am going to place 2 clips in the area in which I want to ensure that I do not sew. I do want to leave an opening so I can place my elastic in after the fact. Okay, so here is where I'm going to drop my needle, and I'm making sure that I do not sew all the way around, okay? So let's start stitching. We back stitch a couple, then we front stitch. Okay, so here's my stitch going all the way around, and here's my opening. And what I'm going to do with my opening, I'm going to place my elastic inside. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that, okay? That's why I left the opening, so I can put the elastic in. So here I have a safety pin. I attach it to my elastic, and I start to thread it through the casing. It may take you a few minutes, and if you made the casing correct based on the size of your elastic, added additional width to it, then everything should fit in nice and snug. Okay, so I've gotten that through. I pinned this, so make sure I don't lose it. And I just want to even this out. Okay. What I'm going to do before I completely even it out, I want to make sure everything is right. I'm going to take this, put it under the machine, and do a zigzag stitch back and forth. Okay. You want to make sure I gotta make sure everything is right. That's the top, that's the bottom. So I'm going to just overlap it and zigzag stitch, okay, a few times. Okay, so I did a couple of zigzags stitches, and now I'm just going to clean this up, get rid of the threads. Don't have to be pretty, but it does need to be secure. Okay, and then we're going to just get this, and that's looking like a pretty little skirt already. Let's take a look at it. We just want to even this out. And right here, where I left an opening, I'm going to take it, and then I'm going to stitch it closed, okay, with a straight stitch. But while I'm doing that, I'm making sure to hold it this way. Hold it tight as it stitches across. Okay, so I want to put a little tag in, let them know that that's the back, and also a little tag that shows that it was made with love. Okay, I'm going to drop my needle there. I have to hold it. We want to go back. Then we're going to go forward. And we're going slow. Okay, so here's the skirt. Looks pretty good. So now all I have left is to hem the bottom. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hem it maybe about a ½ inch all the way around. And I'm going to use both my clips and my iron to help me do that. Now the reason I'm only hemming once or folding over once is because the fabric that I'm using isn't one that unravels easily, and also I use peaking shears, as you saw at the bottom, the zigzag kind of pattern. So that's why I only folded once. But if you are using a light cotton to make a skirt, you may want to fold at least twice to hide your raw edge so it doesn't come loose in the wash. Okay? So check it. Less than 10 minutes. Here is the skirt that I created for you. It took me longer to do the voiceover for this video than it took me to actually do the sewing. Wow. So just imagine how many skirts you can make in just an hour and a few dollars worth of fabric. And no one wants to hear the excuse about you're too old to learn something new. Come on now. Who you think you kidding? My old ass is learning new things every day. Okay? See you later. Bye-bye.